The audience was glued to their screens when the moment came that no one could have predicted. A revelation so shocking that it didn't just ripple across the room, but sent shockwaves through the entire country within minutes. Denzel Washington, known for his commanding presence on screen and his measured wisdom off-screen, had been invited to an exclusive televised forum meant to discuss the intersection of Hollywood, politics, and power. What was supposed to be a thoughtful exchange turned into a moment that would forever change how people viewed the Trump dynasty. With his calm, authoritative voice, Denzel began to outline a series of facts, documents, and testimonies that painted a narrative so unshakable it left the moderators speechless. He wasn't throwing accusations into the wind. He was presenting evidence, piece by piece, in the same way a prosecutor would build an airtight case. And then, with the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air, he said the words that brought the entire room to a standstill. Ivanka Trump is not Donald Trump's biological daughter, and here is the proof of who her real father is. Gasps erupted across the audience, the camera zooming in on faces twisted in disbelief. As Denzel calmly laid down the timeline, he explained how long before Donald Trump's first ventures into the public spotlight as a brash real estate mogul, there had been whispers of an arrangement hidden beneath layers of secrecy. Documents surfaced, ones that Denzel had somehow obtained through a series of insider connections, and they told a story that many had suspected but never dared to articulate. He didn't just speak of rumors. He revealed certified paternity records, legal affidavits, and even a signed confession from a long-buried source close to the Trump family. The air in the studio grew heavy, as if the gravity of the revelation itself was pressing down on everyone watching. No one interrupted, not even the moderators, because Denzel was speaking with the precision of a man who knew he held a truth so powerful it could shake the foundations of a nation.
Something that could not be disputed. The revelation hit like a tidal wave. Because it wasn't just about Ivanka's identity. It was about the carefully constructed empire Donald Trump had built around his family name. For years, Ivanka had been showcased as Trump's golden child, the face of the brand, the one who embodied both business acumen and public charm. She had been positioned not only as a model of elegance, but as a political ally, carrying the Trump torch with an aura of inevitability. Denzel's proof, however, dismantled the image in seconds, leaving a gaping hole in the mythology Trump had worked so hard to cultivate. The cameras panned to the audience, catching jaws dropped, hands covering mouths, and some individuals whispering feverishly to each other as the enormity of the claim sank in. Denzel didn't raise his voice, didn't dramatize. He simply spoke as a man who knew the truth would echo louder than any performance ever could. And then came the hammer blow. Denzel named the man he claimed was Ivanka's true father. The studio went silent, so silent it seemed as though the very air had been sucked out of the room. He spoke the name clearly, enunciating every syllable so that no one could mistake it. A name connected to high society, but not to Trump. This man had lived a life adjacent to wealth and influence, entangled with the social circles of New York City during the late 1970s and early 1980s. The story was woven together with precision, as Denzel connected the dots between timelines, affairs, and Ivanka's birth. What made it undeniable was not just the circumstantial evidence, but the hard science Denzel claimed to have obtained. DNA test results that matched Ivanka not with Donald Trump, but with this other man. Suddenly, the perfect Trump family image looked more like a fragile facade. The audience reaction was immediate, but it wasn't confined to the studio as the words left Denzel's mouth. Social media platforms exploded with trending hashtags, clips of his revelation spreading like wildfire.
Millions of people meet the moment and demanding answers. Some loyalists rushed to Trump's defense, claiming fabrication, while others pointed to Denzel's reputation for integrity as a sign that this could not be dismissed. Journalists scrambled to verify the documents, racing to contact the sources Denzel had referenced. Analysts filled news segments with commentary on what this could mean for Donald Trump's legacy, his businesses, and even his future in politics. The sheer scale of the moment meant that within hours, the story was on every major headline around the world. The quiet authority of Denzel Washington had managed to shake the foundation of one of the most controversial families in modern history. Donald Trump himself, according to those in his inner circle, went into a frenzy behind closed doors. Reports emerged of shouting matches, of frantic calls to lawyers, of demands to shut down the coverage by any means possible. But the problem was that the genie was out of the bottle once spoken. Denzel's words could not be unspoken, and the evidence he presented could not be erased. Attempts to discredit him only fueled more curiosity, more investigation, and more public scrutiny. What made the situation even more unbearable for Trump was Ivanka's silence. While he fumed and denied, Ivanka remained absent, neither confirming nor denying, her quiet retreat adding an even more chilling dimension to the unfolding drama. To many, her silence was more telling than any statement could have been. Meanwhile, Denzel's role in this saga became a subject of fascination. Why him? Why now? How did an actor with no political ambitions come to possess such explosive evidence? His explanation was simple yet profound. The truth finds its way to the people who are willing to carry it. He described uncovering the forgotten files during a renovation of his old home, a property he'd had in his family for years. He said he had had no idea of its contents until he resolved to fix the old study.
How a close confidant connected to the Trump family's past had reached out to him years prior, trusting that he would one day know when and how to reveal the truth. Denzel claimed he had sat with the information, cross-checked every detail, and waited for the right moment when the world would be ready to hear it. That moment, he believed, was now. His demeanor, calm and unwavering, made it impossible for even his harshest critics to dismiss him as a mere attention seeker. The impact of his revelation wasn't just personal, it was political. Rivals seized on the news as a sign of Donald Trump's dishonesty, painting him as a man who had built his empire not only on questionable business practices, but on lies about his very family. Legal experts debated whether this could open the door to challenges against Trump's holdings or Ivanka's role in the family's businesses. Commentators suggested it might permanently tarnish the Trump brand, reducing its marketability and appeal. The American public, divided as always, found themselves pulled into heated debates across dinner tables, workplaces, and social feeds. What had started as a calm statement on live television had now spiraled into a global reckoning with truth, power, and deception. In the weeks that followed, investigations were launched, with media outlets pouring resources into verifying every detail of Denzel's claim. Independent labs confirmed the DNA evidence, and court documents began to surface, corroborating his story. By then, the narrative had shifted irreversibly. Donald Trump could deny all he wanted, but the world had already seen the proof, and public opinion had tilted against him in a way that even his most loyal spin doctors struggled to reverse. Ivanka, caught in the middle of a storm she hadn't chosen, began to distance herself quietly from the family empire, fueling speculation that she knew the truth and could no longer carry the burden of the lie. The silence that once seemed strategic now looked like acknowledgement. By the end of it all,
Denzel Washington's revelation stood as one of the most seismic cultural moments of the decade. He hadn't shouted, hadn't ranted, hadn't sought personal gain.
He had simply spoken the truth with clarity and backed it up with evidence so unshakable that no amount of bluster could undo it. In doing so, he exposed not just the paternity of one woman, but the fragility of a family's carefully manufactured image. The courtroom of public opinion had delivered its verdict. The Trump mythos had cracked, perhaps beyond repair. And the man who delivered the blow was not a politician, not a journalist, but an actor whose reputation for honesty made him the perfect vessel for a truth too heavy for others to carry.